So before we get into today's From the Vault replay, I want to say we meet so many business owners who feel like they're doing something wrong because they're not hitting their revenue goals. You are not doing anything wrong, and I want you to hear something that is probably rarely said. Revenue is not the full story. Profit isn't either. So, and your bank balance, that's just a number that is going to lie to you more than you think. So the episode today is going to flip the script on how you've been taught to measure success. If you've ever wondered, where is my money actually going? Why don't I feel successful even when I hit my goals? And why do my numbers never give me peace of mind? This episode should change all of those thoughts.
Yeah, no, I like this episode because it isn't really a generic, financial advice or surface level dashboard talk. Like, we're going to walk you through 3 numbers you actually need to run a confident, clear business. I mean, we're talking like real clarity, real decision-making power. And so metrics that we're sharing here today should finally make sense to you, not just your accountant.
So we are bringing this one back because the information has helped business owners that honestly I speak to, and it's helped them take back control of their business finances without the shame, the confusion, or those spreadsheets that make your eyes glaze over. So if you've ever thought I should be farther ahead by now, or I don't know how to grow without burning out, or what revenue I even need, this episode is for you.
Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Brigitte Vegter.
And I'm Dan Proczko.
Hello. What's going on? Thank you for joining in to What the Biz. Yeah, Brigitte is here. We're all here. School is back in session. So we're all a little crazy, but we've got an interesting episode today. It's not going to be what you expect, okay? Yes, we're talking about financial metrics, but no, we're not talking about like the usual things like your profit or what your take home is, okay? No. We're going to dive deeper today. This is kind of what Brigitte is calling best kept advisory secrets, okay? So I'm pretty excited for this and jumping in. But before we do that, how are you, Brigitte?
We are back at it. I think you nailed it. Daughter's back in volleyball. Youngest son's doing tennis. Golf is wrapping up. I'm like, and we're getting a warm, front coming in again. We kind of got cold here in Michigan, and we're back in the 80s, and I'm not sad. I will say that. Not sad.
I'll say it caught me off guard. We're traveling for my brother-in-law's wedding this weekend, and where we're going is going to be over 90.
Oh.
And I'm not ready for that because I am a fall person. I enjoy 60-degree weather, and to go back from, the 68, 72 degrees we've had to jump to 95, it's going to be very jarring.
So you were just getting into your favorite season to be removed backwards again.
Yeah. No, the moment the temperature dropped here, me and Jenny, we've had a bonfire pretty much daily in the evening. We've been calling friends and neighbors, come on over. It's like a Tuesday. Come on over. And everybody's like, it's a Tuesday, dude. I'm like, I don't care.
So what? Don't live for the weekend. I love it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm living for today. Let's go. So it's my favorite season. And no, I'm not a pumpkin spice guy. I don't enjoy the fruit drinks, but I love all the other fall stuff. Sweaters, crunchy leaves, cooler weather, bonfires. Football season. Yeah. I'm totally there. So that's my favorite thing.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, how about we jump into it? Instead of talking too much more about that, let's jump into today because it's a different take on the finances.
It is. Actually, I think as we've moved out of summer, because I noticed business owners kind of took the summer for themselves this year, I believe. But I've been having a lot of conversations as we're looking into this fourth quarter, and somebody asked me, and this one really kind of stopped me right all the way in my tracks. But they asked me, if you had to pick 3 numbers every single business owner should watch each month, what would they be? And it halted me. I have a list of numbers, but they really pushed, what's your top 3. And I want to start all of this by saying checking your bank balance is not the start for this. It doesn't tell you if you can pay yourself. Looking at sales isn't going to tell you if you're profitable. And even if you're looking at your tax return, it's only going to tell you what you did historically, not what's going on now or into the future. So we are not going for any of those basic numbers today. And I really, I got to thinking about it, right? And I started to make a list. We actually have a CEO dashboard. We call it the Clarity dashboard that we use with some of our clients. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I think maybe we already have some of these top numbers, and I've never thought about it in this way. But this was built just kind of out of what we've seen happen with clients and conversations we've had, that sometimes revenue's growing. Sometimes they're landing those bigger clients. And I actually have a story about this for you later. They thought things were great, but when they really dive into the numbers, this one client in particular, they were losing money every single month. And it's because they weren't really tracking the right things. So yes, there is a handful of numbers. We're going to answer it today, and I'm going to share the 3. And because I can't stop at 3, I actually have 2 bonus ones that will help.
I like hearing I like hearing the dashboard thing. We do the same thing on the marketing side. We've got our dashboard, our fave numbers, and in prepping for today and for our next episode, which we'll tease later, I'm now thinking of paring down the numbers that we have on there because I think I'm sharing too much and it doesn't matter. But anyway, we'll go on.
Hey, look it's growth, right? We got asked a hard question, and it's really made us think about what we're sharing.
Totally.
So no, it's been really good. So let's dive into it, right? The very first one, I call this the critical number. So this is your critical number. And this really is the one thing that you focus on every quarter that will change everything in your business. Probably the most overlooked, to be honest. And when I think of this number, it is the solving of that scattered spinning plate feeling that all business owners have, right? This number stops that. So instead of bouncing between a dozen different KPIs, and this can be even not financially related, it could be social followers, how many people are opening emails, random revenue targets that you're throwing out there, like, oh, hey, I want to make, $50,000 this month. Well, how are you going to do that? That's where you identify this single critical number. And it is the best way, if you have a team, to also let your team know what is mattering the most in these 90 days. So I think of this in a quarterly 90-day fashion. And it's a way that you can actually measure progress every single week. And guess what? This isn't necessarily coming from a financial report. It may, but it doesn't have to come from a financial report. So this is definitely my top one. And a few examples. I think it's important to kind of put this in examples. So this can change every single quarter, and it probably should. So one quarter, you may notice that your profit margin is not anywhere where it should be. So your critical number may be focused there because you're making sales, but you're not actually keeping enough money. So let's get profit margin back in line. That could be your quarterly critical number. Maybe the next quarter, once you've improved those margins, you shift to reducing overdue invoices. Maybe you're realizing that customers aren't paying you timely. So your critical number becomes, collecting on those faster. Maybe it's implementing an ACH payment option only, where they sign to auto pay if you're on a reoccurring amount, because you may be finding cash flow is what is holding your business back. So you focus there. Yeah. Let's say you improve that, right? Then the next quarter, your critical number becomes your average revenue per client, because you want to scale, but maybe you don't want to add more clients. Maybe you don't have the team in place to add more clients. Maybe you can't take on any more, right? So the critical number evolves. And I really think that's the beauty of this number, but it is one of the most impactful for a business every quarter.
Oh, 100%. I love in what you said around it can bring that focus for a team of what we're going to focus on. I remember when I was doing my MBA, and we were doing case studies around, companies and how they do goal setting, et cetera. And one that kind of came up, and I don't think this company exists anymore, Elcott Steel. Back in, I think it was the 70s or 80s or something, they focused on one metric, and it was safety. And it was, and in a steel, smelter and steelworks, there's a lot of danger, and they were having safety issues, quality control, but they focused on one metric, and it was basically days since last incident. That was the only thing they focused on. But basically what it did is it aligned everybody around safety is the number one thing. Yes, everyone wears a hard hat. Everyone wears, the gear. Everyone, all of this, all the way from the top down. And so when management was out on a floor, like a sub-manager somewhere, wasn't wearing a hard hat, they got basically chewed out. What are you doing, et cetera? Get it on. Like, wait, I'm a manager. What? It doesn't matter. This number's for everybody. And basically rallied everyone around. They had basically one of the best years and best next 5-10 years or whatever, just focusing on safety. And I know that's like this big old case study that's not really like, your everyday Main Street business. So I'm going to say another one. We used to work with a bridal shop, and we were, the interesting thing about this number, your critical number, is that not only does it help shape a team, but it can help bring people together in terms of language. We were talking to this client around revenue and around leads and conversion rates. And this client, it just had a little bit of a hard time with it. And that was fine, because the thing that they focused on was dresses sold. That was the number they focused on. And so basically, when we realized that we were speaking basically French to their Spanish, we realigned on dresses sold, and it made everything that much easier. We could relate appointments set to the dresses sold number. We could relate profit to the dresses sold number. And everybody just started to understand everything much more easily than when we were trying to communicate revenue closed, because revenue doesn't mean how much inventory is moving, et cetera. And they only have so much hanger space, et cetera, in the store. So that was a really key number for them. And it was really cool when that triggered, because we literally just all started working in the same way and basically grew them. It was, what did we grow? We grew somewhere like 20 to 30%. It was like $300,000 got added to the bottom line after that, because we're all moving in the same direction. It was really, really cool.
I love that you brought that up, because every company has one of those. I sometimes call it the MIN, right? The most important number. Every business has one of those
yeah.
And you're right. There are a lot of business owners that speak to that number of no, it's dresses sold, or no, it's number of clients at this package, or no, it's the number of, for us, we focus on our diagnostic or QuickBooks health checkups, right? That is a very important number for us, because we can have huge impact for clients there. And so we focus on that. So every business has one of those, and so important to identify it. Yeah. And actually my second top financial number may help with some of that identification. So real quick though, to wrap up critical number, a simple process to pick it. I always like to just ask the question, where do I feel the most pain in my business? Is it cash coming in? Is it profit? Are you not paying yourself? Whatever that piece is that you just feel the most pain in, find a metric that solves it. So if you are stressed about covering bills, it might be where you have break-even revenue. If you're not paying yourself consistently, maybe it's your owner pay percentage. If sales are fine, but you're turning clients out the door, maybe it's client retention. So commit to this critical number every 90 days, put it on a dashboard if you have one, review it. And every single decision should be, how do we make that number better or hit our goal? For the 90 days, you have to just commit to it. You'll see the changes in your business. So
it's such a simple process too. So really cool.
It is, but it's so overlooked. I mean, we overlook it sometimes, right? We get excited about new projects and wait, how does this contribute to our...
and we just talked about that Brigitte thing, it gets it, you got to focus. You got to stay focused on the thing. Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Okay. Metric number 2, this would be the second one that I would recommend, is your biggest revenue producer. So the pain that this one solves in my mind is that working harder and harder, but not actually taking home money is probably because you are not focusing on the right revenue producer. Most business owners assume that their biggest service, the one that brings in the most dollars, is their moneymaker. I see business owners time and time again double down on that. They market that harder. They pour their resources into it. But just because something brings in the most revenue doesn't mean it's profitable. I have seen owners literally grind themselves into the ground over this like cash cow that they think that they have, only to find out it is the thing leaking the money out of their business. I actually have been in a coaching group where a cohort in that thought that their $10,000 like package that they had, that they were offering, was like their crown jewel, right? It was their biggest service. So we had an exercise in this cohort where they had to pull together labor, delivery costs, what they were putting into it, the time, the calls, like all of the things. Guess what? It was actually costing them money, yet their group program that they offered at like a much lower cost, actually $1,500, had double the profit margin for them, and they were scaling that without any effort. So this insight, I think, is one of the biggest ones that can change things inside of a business, because if you're selling the thing costing you money, you're going to feel broke forever.
Oh, hands down. No, I love this because everybody gets stuck up on like, especially if it's the new thing that you've created. It's like, oh, we got to push this new thing really hard or whatever, but we haven't proven that it's profitable. It's just the new thing. And so you can go all in and then find out, like you said, oh my God, this thing isn't profitable whatsoever. We're losing money on this.
Yeah. So if you're asking, how do I figure this out? A few key steps that can help with this. One, if you have your QuickBooks Online or a similar software tracking your services, pull your revenue by each service line. From there, you can layer in all the costs. And I mean, dive into this. I even encourage the time that you may have to take for consultation calls to get people into this service, right? Maybe it's the marketing effort that's going into this service, any direct labor, material, software, anything that it takes to either produce or serve the service line, like actually deliver it, or to get people into it. This will get you where you can find the margin on that. So not just the revenue it's bringing in, but all of the costs that are going into it to get to your profit, right? So you should be able to go through your services and see what are both profitable and scalable. So if you have a service that checks both, that is going to be a true revenue producer inside of your business. And you will probably find you could stop wasting energy on services that keep you busy. I think a lot of businesses have this, where they have a service that they're like, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard and I have money coming in from it, only to realize that it's costing them money when they factor in their time.
I think it's exactly what you alluded to here is like, if it takes a lot of your time and your effort, you think that it's that thing that is driving the most. And that's just basically a recency bias or it's a bias of some kind just because that's where your attention is going. But looking at the numbers, believe it or not, sometimes it's the thing that doesn't need your attention, because if it doesn't need your attention, it's scalable usually is what that means. And that means you don't have to put a lot of time to it, meaning there's fewer costs. But you can only figure that out by actually looking at the numbers and taking that time to analyze it.
Ding, ding, ding. And if it's something that only you can do, and I will say, I don't think there's much that only one person can do. I think it may be hard to find somebody to hire in to do part of what you're doing, but everything's coachable. But if you are the one primarily providing that service and you're the business owner, I can guarantee you it's already not a great revenue producer. So find something else that's going to be scalable for your business. Okay, diving into number 3, the break-even point. This is where you can kind of stop feeling like you never know if you're safe to spend, hire, or even pay yourself. Most business owners are guessing, right? They may be looking at their bank account and saying, oh, I think we're fine. Like there's money in there, but it's really not strategy for your business. And the break-even point is going to tell you exactly how much revenue you need every month to cover your expenses. So like rent, payroll, subscriptions, contractors, whatever those expenses are before the dollars become profit. Why I love this number is that it gives you a target every single month. So if you know that your break even is, let's use $15,000 as an example, that means that everything else is profit. If you know what you're selling your services for or your products for, you can now work backwards to say, we have to have X amount of clients. So I think of your industry, right, Dan, with cleaning companies. They know exactly how many houses at what sizes they have to be cleaning to hit that revenue for break even every month. And then they know everybody over that is profit into their business. Your industry, right? Your new packages that you're selling or any services that you're selling, once you know your break even, you know exactly how many of those you have to get to hit that point. Your clients, right? I'm sure you use this for marketing. How many of what we are marketing for you do you need to sell to actually break even? And now we can show you're making profit for everything above that.
No, I love this because last week's conversation around, expanding into a niche. I think this is really important for that. And I don't know that we even talked about it last week a little bit, but we did a bit. But understanding like that break even point for launching a new service, a new service area, a new division of your company that really helps you understand how long you need to, we were talking about investment and time it takes to make that happen. When you can figure out what that break even point is, that helps you map out the timeline to when you're going to reach the moment of profitability. And if you can do it in the right timeline, that's when you prove, this is worthwhile, or this is something we need to double down on, et cetera. And so that's true whether you're expanding or not, a new business or existing business, and you're having a growth spurt. Anytime you've got a growth spurt, you got to invest into it. You probably have to hire. That growth has a break-even point in and of itself as well. So anytime you're going to do a growth push, you can almost look at it as like its own expansion and give it its own break-even point, so that you understand how far you have to go for that growth to now start bringing profit back in again.
Such a good point. I have a client. I don't want to call them out specifically for their industry. So, because they may know I'm talking about them. So I'm going to use this very generically. But they actually reached out to us. So they don't currently use our advisory services. They're a growing client, but they reached out and they're like, we just don't understand why we have sales coming in, but we constantly feel like our bank account is drained. Like we feel broke. And we're just not understanding it. And I asked this question. I said, okay, what is your break-even point? And they didn't know. So we dove into the math, and this is really how you can calculate yours too. Adding up all their fixed cost, adding up all their variable cost. And we got to that point where they didn't realize rent had gone up as much as it had, but from the last time that they did this exercise, they had added 2 additional staff members that they really weren't taking into account the software subscriptions that they needed, the additional taxes for payroll that they were paying. There was an additional cost to their insurance because they now had more people on workers' comp insurance. So they realized that they were kind of planning on a break-even point that was almost $3,000 less a month. And so, sales were up, but they weren't feeling that because their break-even point was more than what they were expecting. So this really just is, to me, it's a peace of mind number to have, because you always know where your target is. And once you've hit that every month, you know that you're safe. And when you're hitting it consistently and you're going over time and time again, guess what? You can probably feel confident in making that higher or paying yourself more. So I'm wrapping up my top 3 with the break-even point.
Love it. Now,
Yeah.
you teased, you had a couple bonuses.
I do. And these actually may not seem like financial numbers per se. The second one probably does, but I kind of think about the second one more as a key number for marketing in some areas. But they are financially related, and they're 2 really important ones. So the first is the biggest bottleneck. So we all hustle, right? We are all busy. We have probably a max speed that we're always hitting, but yet we keep finding the ceiling that we can't break through in our businesses. Every business goes through it. You're going to have a new ceiling at different points inside of your business. So the biggest bottleneck is the one constraint that is capping how much money your business can earn. And sometimes it is you as the business owner.
Oh, yeah.
Often it can be you as the business owner. So I think it is so important every 90 days to take a look at what is the biggest bottleneck in the business. So maybe you're still running every client meeting. Maybe you're still answering all of your own emails. Maybe you're manually creating invoices inside your business. It might be a process issue. It could be a system issue. It could be a people issue, but somewhere there is a big bottleneck. And even the most successful businesses have a bottleneck at every given time. There's something that can be better. So we had one that a client was kind of stuck. They couldn't break through this revenue number that they hit every month. And it was their onboarding process. So it was taking so much of their time to get people onboarded that new clients were sitting on this wait list forever. And they just couldn't get beyond that. So once it was streamlined, they found that their monthly revenue was going up. So this one, you can simply ask yourself a question too. What is one task, person, or process that limits how many clients or sales that I can take on? Once you fix that constraint, you're going to feel that growth is easy again.
Yeah, no, I really love that because it's, at any one time they say like you can either grow or you can fix something. You can either work on efficiency or growth. And it's kind of true. It's really difficult to do both at the same time because when you grow, you add chaos into the mix of a lot, you need more capacity to deal with it, et cetera. And then once that capacity is filled, you can kind of be like, okay, now how do we make that more efficient? And that kind of a question is great for that point. Like you've done that growth spurt, you fill that capacity, then it's like, okay, what can we improve so we can get more profit out of this? Or what can we improve so that we can bring more clients on? What can we improve so that we can XYZ? Yeah.
Yeah. So fun fact, I mentioned having a critical number in the beginning, and I just mentioned a bottleneck. In that scenario that I just gave, can you imagine what their critical number may have been? They probably targeted how many clients they could onboard in a month. So they set a goal of, we want to onboard 3 clients in a month. So their bottleneck actually became their critical number. They worked on solving that process.
Yeah, that hit me the moment you were describing it. Like, that could totally just be your critical number. No, it's beautiful how these things work together.
It is. Okay, bonus number 2, lifetime value per client. And in your world, Dan, I think you call it something a little bit different. So I'll let you own that in your marketing world. But I think there comes this point where business owners feel like we're constantly chasing new clients just to keep their business going, right? And it is proven time and time again that it costs more to get a new client than to keep an existing one that you have. A lot of business owners just don't know how much a client is worth over the full relationship. So there is an obsession over new sales instead of retention. So I think knowing what your lifetime value is per client and then striving to make that number continue to rise is one of the biggest impacts that you can have in your business. Always make it better, right? You want a higher lifetime value, in my opinion.
I I particularly love lifetime value a lot, mostly for the reason you're saying is most people don't know how much a client is worth. And that is a number. And I'm worried because next week we're going to talk about the top 3 marketing numbers, and there might be some repeats. But in lifetime value, we use this number quite a bit because we like to explain to our clients that, around cost of acquisition, it might cost, say, $250 to earn a client. And every time they use your service, they may only be spending $100. But if they're with you for 10 repetitions, that's now $1,000 when you spent $250. So you made 4x your investment. That's just an example. But when we show the client, every client we generate, even though it costs you X number of dollars, is worth tens of thousands, like a light bulb goes off in their head. And it's just like, now I understand what people mean when you say investing in growth. It's that this lifetime value is now, that's so cool. I'm spending $100 to earn a client that's going to get me $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on average. And it makes investing, because that's what it is, investing in growth much more easy, as well as fun. Because it's like, I'm doing this to get another 30 grand, instead of like, I'm spending so much, So I love this number a lot.
So true. And I think when you know what your lifetime value is, right? You have a target. You already know where you're starting. And if you see that clients are leaving after a short amount of time, it could be something as simple as maybe onboarding, right? I just mentioned it. Might have been that. It could be your communication throughout that relationship. Maybe you missed an upsell opportunity. So when you take all of that into consideration and you aim to increase your lifetime value of your clients, your business is going to naturally grow. So real quickly, in my mind, how you calculate this: know the average length that a client is staying with you. Take your average monthly revenue per client and multiply it by that average length. You can adjust for upsells or repeat purchases, but that number is going to tell you how much every new client is truly worth. So if you are noticing that the average length that a client is staying with you is dropping, something is not working inside of your delivery. And that probably ought to become your biggest bottleneck and your critical number very quickly. And it's a good metric to know. This is why we put it on a CEO dashboard. I think it's incredibly telling of what's happening inside of a company. And it can help you, with any sort of your marketing spend, retention, and maybe you can stop chasing new leads every month because you realize you should just invest in the clients you already have and offer them more.
Well, you know what? And I'm just thinking about the lifetime value. And then when you were talking about your biggest revenue producer, I mean, one thing is if you start to combine some of these together, you learn some really cool things. You may find that different clients in different service brackets or service delivery have a higher lifetime value than those in other service areas of your business. And so when thinking about your biggest revenue producer, and that's basically what you were talking about in terms of, focusing where the profit or the revenue is, combining these together can be real valuable because if you focus on the area where your clients have the highest lifetime value, you potentially need fewer clients to reach the same numbers, and that just makes life easier because you need fewer people. There's more capacity for more clients that are worth more, higher profit then. Life just gets easy at that point then.
And the impact you're giving to them, right? Because you're not consistently chasing the low paying clients. You are your good clients are getting the best from you. I mean, it's 100%. A win-win all the way around. So quick recap, I'll break down these 5 again. The first one, critical number, it's going to solve the chaos of that scattered focus that we all deal with. Number 2 is your biggest revenue producer. This is going to solve the problem of working harder with no profit to show for it. Your break-even point is going to solve that fear that you have of not knowing if you can afford to pay or hire or any of those big question marks about spending. And your bonus to the biggest bottleneck is going to solve your frustration of hitting those growth ceilings that we all have. And your lifetime value per client is going to solve that exhaustion of running on the hamster wheel, trying to chase the new business. So all of these combined together is why I said you're getting a sneak peek into some of our advisory service, because this is really what I call part, I'm not giving you all of it, but this is part of our CEO Clarity Dashboard. Because honestly, in my mind, if you don't know these, you're not really guiding your business, you're reacting, and you probably feel like you have a whole lot of fires always going on around you.
Yeah, no, absolutely love it. That's really cool. So
the dashboard. Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to touch on this real quick. Please don't build this dashboard on horrible data. Like, that's all I can say about this.
Oh, gosh.
Because you're going to have wrong numbers, and then you're going to be guiding your business on bad numbers and bad data. And then you're going to say, Dan and Brigitte told me that these were the numbers that I needed. And
wait, we've talked about bad data before. We've talked about bad data before. So if you listen to this podcast and you're building something on bad data, you've been warned. Anyway, no, that's so true. Yeah.
So have two things. You know, we all know that we use QuickBooks Online. If you don't, that's fine. But have an accounting software that's set up properly and accurate. And if you are using QuickBooks Online, I encourage everybody to get a health check. That's what we call it. Like, you just don't know what you don't know about problems in there. And, you know, it's just like getting your oil changed or, you know, going to the doctor to have just a routine checkup. Your QuickBooks needs the same thing because you might not know what's hiding in there. So it's the power of numbers. They're important. Sorry for all those that don't love numbers, but they really are important. And build the dashboard on the good data.
Yeah, no, and kind of, I don't know if it's a shameless plug. I don't think that's what it is, but it's like I'll be up to those listening. We work with Bridget's team. They're our bookkeepers. And that's actually one of my favorite things every month is sitting down with your team and seeing the numbers and having the opportunity to ask questions or having them say, hey, here's what we're seeing. These numbers are a little out. You know, these aren't sitting within where they should be, or we're seeing opportunity. This is a place where you should be focusing for growth, et cetera. And it's really cool to be able to just have those numbers be accurate and have access to that kind of advice and advisory panel.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'll scream.
It's our passion.
Yeah. No, it's definitely helped us grow, and it's still helping us grow. So I absolutely love it. I think that is a great place to end today's episode. Oh my God, there was so much there, and we only focused on 5 metrics. And just think, there's so many more out there, but these are 5 of the most important, like we talked about. So, do you have a favorite financial metric? Let us know what it is. If there was an aha moment from today's episode, like, oh man, that's a cool mindset shift, let us know in a review, wherever it is you listen. Just drop that aha moment in a review. We'll definitely reply to it. We'd love to hear from you from there. And if you have any ideas on future podcast episodes, check us out at whatthebiz.com. What's next for you, Bridget? What's going on?
We have a busy end to this month. So the team is working really hard on some of our marketing and growth initiatives and rolling out some new things to our clients. So that's really exciting from that side. We've got weddings coming up. I know you have a wedding coming up. We're going to have to be closing our place up north because we're getting into that season, and sports. You know, we're just kind of in the thick of busy fall right now, I feel like.
There you go. Yeah. Fall has some energy to it in that way, I will say. Yeah, where summer's, relaxed, fall hits, and you got to start running real fast.
That's okay. We're all prepping to be in our winter hibernation, so it's good to run now.
There you go. Right. In Michigan, all that. Yeah, winter's long. We are focusing on. We've got some new clients coming on. We have one that just started, so. Just going to make sure we do the right follow-ups there. We've got another one starting next week on our high tier plans. We've got to spend all that time getting them onboarded. But we put out, the new pricing calculator tool for the cleaning industry, and we've had a couple of It's kind of like on a low key. It was kind of low key release, but we've had a couple of companies, express interest, and so we're talking with them because they want something customized in it, which is really cool. So then it becomes a customized tool for them that really helps them drive a lot more value because it'll be geared toward their businesses. But all of those conversations have also been about, oh, what else do you guys do? Because you can't just do a calculator. It's like, no, we do a lot. So it's opened the door for a lot more conversation. So there'll be a lot more going on.
That's awesome.
A lot more going on there. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So thank you all for joining us today. We're going to see you next week. We're going to continue this topic actually, and we're going to actually share our top. Well, I'm going to share, let's put it that way. I'm going to share my top, or what I think are the most important marketing metrics, because I think this topic is so great, because so often, like the shiny thing, et cetera, we get distracted, and focus is really, really key. So having those few numbers that actually drive value and drive motion and change and growth in a business are really, really key. So I love that we're doing this. So we're going to come back with top 3 marketing numbers next week. And
I'm excited for that, because when we had that conversation, I couldn't be the only one struggling to find my top 3. So I can't wait to hear what yours are.
There were so many. Oh my God, there's so many things. And
it's hard.
Was just like, oh wait, this is a great metric. Oh, this means this. I need to talk about that. And I did. I got it down. I think.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm ready for it.
And I think we might have one overlap, but we'll come at it from a slightly different angle. So that's going to be really cool. But yeah, we'll see you next week. I guess I'm changing up the ending of this episode. So we'll see you in the next one.
Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between.
Oh, I gotta